Welcome back to Know and Grow Every Day, and this one's gonna be a special video. बहुत ही recently Roundups India ने मुझे एक special podcast के लिए invite किया था, where we talked a lot about investing versus trading in the stock market, personal finance, insurances, books to read, and whatnot. It was a pretty fun chat and a pretty fun podcast. So, without further ado, go ahead and watch that video.
Hey guys, I'm Vikram and welcome to What Got You There. In this show, we speak to entrepreneurs and startup founders to discuss the tools, tips, and tactics that they use to manage their finances, run their businesses, and more. In this episode, we speak to Himalaya Sachdev. Himalaya Sachdev is the founder of a personal advisory firm called InCan. He also runs a page called Know and Grow Every Day that talks about educational business content, finance, investments, and personal growth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So we'll dive right into it. When I was on your page, the first video that I stopped on was renting versus buying. This is an argument that a lot of us have, and you explained it amazingly on your video. You'd given like values as to which investment is, what kind of investment is better. Is renting better or is buying better? Could you articulate this in like in a few passages right now and tell us more about this?
Okay, so I can first of all give you the solution if there's somebody who does not want to watch the whole 20-minute video. So the only point when buying a house makes more sense than renting a house is that if you have at least 50% of the down payment of the house saved up in your bank account as of right now. If you don't, then it's not really a good idea for you to start your EMIs, because in India's market, the difference between the EMI and the rent is huge. It's probably more than double of what an EMI would be than what your rent is going to be like. So just invest the savings of whatever you have, save up till you have 50% of the down payment in your bank account, and then only start going for buying the house. And if you want, I can just delve into the reason why this is so. So when you're investing in property for rental income, especially for residential property, the rental yield, which is the amount of rent that you will get for the cost that you put in that house, is not more than 3 to 4%. But right now, the EMI cost, that is your home loan cost, is approximately 7% or so. So till the time these two don't come in the same parameters, like these two aren't equal, till that time, it's not going to make sense for you to buy a house if you don't have at least 50% saved up. Till that point of time, it's always going to make sense that you rent a house, because you're going to spend less for that house, for staying in the same house if you're renting it out.
So, but the most common answer that I get to that is, but Vikram, to have that house is safe. It's safe to have the house. So what do you say to that? Like, I know you here people are arguing a rational, arguing with a rational, logic, with an emotional comment, right? So what do you do to that? What do you say to that?
So this most simple answer that I can give to that is that, dude, you don't own the house yet. The bank owns the house.
Right.
You're just giving them the EMI to be able to live in it.
Right.
You're basically renting the house from the bank, right? The bank owns the house. You still don't own it. So why do you want to spend double the amount to stay in the same house? Just rent it, dude. Save some more and then take a lower amount of loan and then buy it.
Right. Instead, I'm assuming what people could do is the difference between renting the house and the EMI you pay, you could probably invest that into like mutual funds or something that give you like better returns, right? Like you mentioned, till you don't have 50% of the down payment available, and then you go for it.
Yep.
Right. All right. So another question, right? So one of the most confusing components of personal finance is insurance. All right. This is something that I'm still learning, and it's very confusing. Now, as a 25-year-old, what is the most important insurance for me to have? Like, what do I go for first, and why do I go for it?
Can you just repeat that? I think
so as a 25-year-old, what are the most necessary insurances that I should own? You got that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got that. So the first type of insurance that you should own comes with a prerequisite. So if you have somebody that's depending on your income, say for example your parents or a wife or a kid, then the first insurance that you should buy is a term insurance. Because number one, it gives you the highest amount of cover. That is, how much will your family get if you die? And the other thing is that it's extremely cheap for depending on your age. Am I still on, right?
Right. You're on. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like a 25, 26-year-old guy who's recently married and has a wife that's depending on him, or even if the wife does not depend, even if she's self-sufficient, or you have parents who are depending on you. So if you're 25, 26, you'll probably get a 50 lakh insurance in, say, what, 17, 18K. And that is also an annual payment. And that also you won't have to pay for more than 10 to 15 years. So
Right.
that's barely like 2 or 3% of your annual income that you have to pay to secure your family, right?
Right.
So that's
Right.
the first kind that you need to get, that is term. And then once you get that kind of insurance, and after that, as and when you grow, the only time that I would recommend buying the other type, that is the money back type of insurance, is
Right.
if you want to book your interest rate for the time, right? So if you are aware, or even if somebody who's watching is aware, 10 or 15 years before, the FD rates used to be somewhere between 10 to 11%. And
Right.
right now, even if I book it for a year or 2 years, I'm still not going to get more than 5%,
Right.
right?
Right.
So what these endowment policies do is that if you invest at this point of time, and say your policy term is like 10 or 15 years, then for the next 10 to 15 years, your interest rate of this 5.5 or 6% will get booked right there, right?
Oh, all right.
And right, so even if 10 years down the line the interest rates come down to 2% or 2.5%, like it has been happening in US. So there's this concept that as and when the country progresses, the interest rates keep on going down,
Right.
right? The same thing happened in US, and the same thing will happen in India for sure. So you will see a point in your lifetime when FD rates are not more than 1.5%, and savings will probably give you nothing at all. It might even cost you to keep your money in your savings account in the near future. So what these endowment policies do is that they fix a rate for you, just book a small amount of your portfolio for a risk-free interest rate, that is. And the another good thing about this is that when you get the money back, it's completely tax-free. So you
All
save another, say, 20% depending on your tax slab.
all right. All right. Next question. Could you help us with a few tools that you use for personal finance? It could be anything. It could
Okay,
be
so
like, for example, I use a money manager app on my phone. It could be
yeah,
anything. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So the first thing that you need to start doing is just start budgeting. I'm more of a Excel sheet kind of guy, or a paper and pen kind of guy. So I just basically list down all of my expenses. But the only other thing that I use for budgeting, because I'm already very mindful of where I'm spending and how much I'm earning. So my bank application, I use ICICI Bank. So my bank application itself just tells me what are my utility bills, what are my food bills, and whatever. So it gives me like a small segregation of the expenses, but I don't really use anything else. But for you, there are like tons of money manager applications available on the Play Store. Just download one, but make sure you got them. You need to use it, because
Right.
if you just download it, it's not gonna really help you with
So,
your budgeting.
so this is what I tell people. So downloading is easy, right? But one way they could probably
Yeah,
build the habit is by setting an alarm at, let's say, in the night, right,
yeah,
an hour before they sleep. Whenever it rings, they
yeah,
note it down and they sleep. They do it for like a
yeah,
couple of weeks, and bam, it just sticks on to
yeah.
you, right? You'll do it automatically,
Exactly.
right?
Oh hell yeah! And plus, it's gonna. So one thing that people don't really realize that the power of budgeting helps them with is that you'll curtail your frivolous spending so much. Like
Right.
you'll be surprised with the amount of money that you're saving at the end of the month by
Right.
not spending those 100, 150 bucks here and there.
Right.
So
Right.
that really, the budgeting will help you save at least 5, 6K without even
Right. Right.
missing a
You'll
beat.
start being so much more aware of your expenses. I'm like, damn, I didn't
Yeah,
even know I was spending it here, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's
exactly,
very powerful.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Could you suggest books, podcasts, or financial influencers that you follow to help
Okay.
improve personal finance? Yeah.
So if you ask me that, give me one book that I need to read to be able to start, I don't know, planning my future, just thinking in the right manner about money, then that would be Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I read that book in 2012, I suppose, and since that it blew my fucking mind. And I am a commerce student, right?
Right.
So I know what assets and liabilities are. I know that you put assets in this column and liabilities in this column in the balance sheet. But in the real world, application of that meaning was
Yeah.
so different when
Yeah.
I
You
got
have
it.
like that
And I
two-part
never thought
diagram, right? Like where Robert Kiyosaki explains.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I think it was my first book as well. It was my second book that I've read in my life. Like
yeah,
second book that I picked up,
yeah,
and what a great book!
yeah.
The way he explains,
I know.
yeah,
Uh, it
assets and
blew my fucking
liabilities,
mind.
cash flow. So,
Yeah,
pretty interesting book. So,
yeah,
any
yeah.
podcast that you listen to, any YouTube channel that you follow?
Uh, so I follow a couple of YouTube channels, but mostly that's for the roundup of the news at the end of the day. So I'm most of the days I'm usually busy with my work, and my research takes sometimes it needs to take a backseat. So whatever articles I'm reading, so on the go I keep on reading articles, but at the end of the day, if I feel that I wasn't able to read as much, then I just see a couple of couple of YouTube channels for the news roundup of the day. So one of those is I think Stacks Guruji or something of the sort by that name. One is Stock Commando. One is MKJ Investment Talks or something, and the other is Market Maestro.
All
So
right.
these guys I just follow for getting the news. That's it at
Right.
the end of the day because I make it a point not to watch news channels. I hate news channels.
I am sorry, Babu.
All right. So now, what's your thought on investing versus stock market trading? All right. So now I tell all the people who text me on the group saying, on our page saying, it's not wise to trade in the market, especially if you're looking to, especially if you're looking from the aspect of personal finance, if you want to save for your future, right? But people
Yeah.
find pleasure in investing or trading or day trading, right? So what's your
Yeah.
thought on investing versus trading, and should people do it?
Okay, so if you're somebody who's just learning
Right.
and has not been investing in the stock market for less than 10 years, then don't even try to put your hand into trading because that is extremely risky. I've come across at least 100 brokers and at least say 500 people who've been trading in my work lifetime. Most of them tell me the same thing, that at the end of the year when they just sit to do their hisab, they're basically at no profit, no loss. And those are the lucky ones.
Right.
Most of the people, they probably end up by fluke making a huge profit, and then they feel that I'm the best trader in the fucking world. Okay, I'm
Right.
sorry, I
No,
thought we couldn't curse.
that's all right. That's all right.
That's fine. Okay, maybe
That's right.
kids might watch this.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Go ahead.
So yeah, they feel they're the best goddamn trader in the world, and then the next day they lose almost all of their capital, and then they
Right.
wash their hands, and then they say stock market is not for me.
So this is what I'd written like a small piece on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and I said, even I've made money by trading once. I don't trade in the market anymore. I don't, right? I've read a few books,
Yeah.
and when you hear Warren Buffett saying it's not wise to invest in the stock market, if you don't listen to him, you got to be stupid, right? You got to be stupid not to listen to one of the best investors in the world. And I made money on that trade. I thought I knew how to make money in the stock market, but I didn't know why I made money, and I made a mistake in the future. I didn't learn. My process was wrong.
Yeah.
Your results
Yeah.
don't matter. It's your process that matters, right? And a lot of stock market traders don't have a good
Yep.
process. They have assumptions and speculations that leads to disaster eventually, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So this is what I tell a lot of like 25 millennial baby anyone, like it's not wise to trade in the stock market. You're not going to make money, right?
Yeah. The one more thing that's an issue today is that how many people think that how easy it is to make money.
Right.
Dude, it's not easy. Making money is gonna take you time, and what there's also a lot of trainers in the market who just say that okay, take my this $5,000 course, and then you'll be making $2,000 every day
Right.
from your trade. You'll be making more than your corporate office. And I'm like, dude, if it was that easy, everybody would have been a fucking
Right.
millionaire. All you need is $5,000 and a phone to do this.
Right. So I was reading The Intelligent Investor, and I'm like, damn, like this is how much they think to make money. There's another book, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profit, Philip Fisher, right?
I haven't read that one.
And I'm like, this is a lot of thinking, right? They understand the company, they understand the management, they know in and out of the company, and then they buy a company, right? And
Then
even
they
they
buy a
don't hold
company,
more than 10, 15 companies, and they don't trade actively, and they make money, right? They play the long term game. It's it's that understanding people need to have to make money, that it's going to take you 20, 25 years. You got to enjoy the process. That's when you make money. Yeah. Right.
And plus, you don't have to work for those 20 to 25 years. Just work when you're investing, or get a good financial advisor who will help you with it. And then just sit back and relax, dude. Just watch your crops grow. You don't need to, just keep on pushing it every single day. Just sit back and relax. Your money will work for you.
Yeah. Another point, right? Like, I think personal finance is boring, right? It's boring, and that's why people suck at it. People need to do something on a regular basis. They need results, right? But they don't understand that personal finance is more about sacrificing that one trip with your friends to save money, or hustling those weekends to earn extra money. and saving it and leaving it for 20 years. That's the difficult part. It's boring. It's difficult.
Yeah,
People,
it
and
is.
I think
It is.
I think it's discipline, grit, and self control that leads to a good financial future, and not intense knowledge about which stock to pick, because that's going to lead to disaster. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
right, yeah,
Yeah. So the only thing you need is one habit. Number two, you need to understand the value of something when you're buying it. So if you're buying a phone and if you think that whatever you're paying for it is going to add value to your life, then go ahead and pay it even if it is for 1 lakh, right?
right,
But if you don't find the value in it, don't pay even one rupee to that thing. And the third thing is this: either get a good financial advisor or invest in something that's going to grow slowly but safely, and then
right.
just wait.
All right. I have one last question. You said get a good financial advisor. How do I know who's a good financial advisor?
Okay, so mostly financial advisors they always get to know their clients via word of mouth, right? So 95% of the clients that I've acquired has been through references. But today's millennials don't have that kind of access because they probably are not going to talk to their dad, and their dad, if they ask them dad or mother or their chacha or their mama, they're just going to direct them to their CA, which is not a wise move because CAs knows about accountancy, but they don't really know much about where to invest, right? So the only thing that I feel that you can understand whether a financial advisor that you're talking to is good or not is the amount of time that he spends talking to you on the phone about your needs and your goals.
That's a
If
good point. Yeah.
within 5 to 10 minutes of talking to you on the phone, if he's suggesting where you need to invest, then just cut the phone right then and there, right?
Right.
He
That's a good
needs to
point.
know you first. He needs to hear your risk capacity first. If he's talking to you for 15 to 20 minutes and then he says that give me some time and I'll probably just come up with something and then we'll discuss it and then I'll explain it to you. If you understand where your money is going, then that person is a good financial advisor because he actually cares about where your money is going and he wants to make you understand where your money is going.
Right.
If they don't do that, then just avoid that. Just avoid that person.
All right. One final question we asked most of our speakers. We asked this to
Yeah.
most of our speakers, right? Now, what's your favorite 100 rupee purchase?
Oh, dude. Okay.
Yeah. Something that
Okay.
adds value to your
I'm
life.
not sure. Uh, okay, so I just recently purchased like a really cheap collar mic that I needed because the one that I was using before was the expensive one, and it added an extra step in my videos because I had to layer the audio onto the video. So
Right.
I think that way it cost like $149 or something of that
All
sort,
right.
and I think that's
All right.
that's my next like
All right. I mean, the
favorite
purpose of
purchase.
this question is, it's small things can add immense value to what you do. It's not
Yeah,
always about the big things. Yeah. And
yeah,
things like,
yeah,
like my 100 rupee Headspace app does a beautiful job, right? Like so yeah.
yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Is there
You
anything else?
meditate, dude. You meditate.
Yeah, I do. I do meditate.
You
Like,
meditate. Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It doesn't work when you're doing it for just a few months. But after a year and a half, 2 years, you're like, man, shit, like, how did this work?
Why
You know,
wasn't I doing this
I
before,
wouldn't
right?
lose. Yeah, yeah. 2 years back, I would lose my shit for this, right? But today, I'm like, it's happening. Screw it. Yeah, but I don't know. So I think
Awesome.
meditation is it does improve self awareness, which eventually leads
Oh
to
yeah.
improvement. Self control. I think meditation is one skill everyone should pick up. Everyone.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. And if you're not somebody that I personally follow this because there was a time when I couldn't sit still with myself. So if
Right.
you're not able to do that, then just take some hobby of yours that you're like really passionate about. When
Right.
you're doing that hobby, you'll probably be in a meditative state. So I play the guitar sometimes, I sing
Right.
sometimes.
Right.
So when I'm in that headspace, it's like okay, I have nothing else in my mind.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that's
Right.
just do that if you're
Yeah.
not somebody who
Yeah.
can
It's
just
that
sit
state of
silent
mind,
and
right? Like a lot of
yes,
people could relate it to sport as well. Like when they're playing a sport,
yeah,
they're in the moment. Yeah.
they're always there. They're just there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's I think that's my favorite 100 rupee subscription at least that goes in. So yeah, it's valuable as
Awesome,
hell.
dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so okay, all right. Anything else that you would like to add to the show? Anything else for the listeners? Something that I
Okay, so
probably missed
guys,
out. You wanted me to ask.
if you are 16 or 18 years old, just start learning about money. And whatever purchase you're gonna make in life, just make a priority list what you want out of that purchase because that's probably the only thing that's gonna save you the most amount of money in life. Because Okay, I'm not sure if you've heard this, but Warren Buffett as well said this, that to reach the first million or the first 100,000 in life, it's not going to happen by increasing your income. It's going to happen by curtailing your lifestyle. Post that 100,000 is when that starts making money for you, right? So
Right,
to
right.
get to that first 10 lakh rupees as well, you need to start, maintaining your lifestyle in such a manner that you're able to maximize your savings. So just
Right.
prioritize whatever value you need out of a high profile purchase, and then spend money accordingly and start learning about money, where
Yeah.
you can put it.
I think
And
that's a
always
great.
make sure that your money is, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great first step for 18-year-olds, right? But I'm
Yes,
assuming to
yes.
tell this to an 18-year-old, no, dude, like, I want to
Fuck
trade
it,
in the
dude.
stock market. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? No, like, I'm much smarter than this. I can do this, right? But that's a beautiful point.
Yeah.
I think behavior discipline is the first step to personal finance. Without that, you're not going anywhere, right?
Yes,
You're
yes.
just making a lot of noise. Yeah. Anyways,
Fine, okay?
perfect, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
It was fun speaking to you.
Same here, man. Same here.
So that was the podcast. I hope you liked it. I hope you got to learn something from it. Finance and investments and businesses से related और भी बहुत सारे educational videos आने वाले हैं. So make sure that you subscribe, like and comment below, because apparently comment करते हैं तो algorithm की reach बढ़ जाती है. And spread the word, guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Adios.